In this video, we're going to take a look at using PartMaker's functionality for programming custom font engraving and show you how this works. Here you're seeing the result of where we're going to end up when we're all done at the end of this video. This video is going to focus on doing custom font engraving on a cylindrical surface using PartMaker Turn Mill. The same techniques can be used, of course, in PartMaker SwissCam or for really any cylindrical part. Additionally, the same techniques can also be easily adapted to doing planar milling on a vertical or horizontal machining center, and with some modification also be used to be doing surface machining on an arbitrary surface. The same techniques can also be used to do work on the face of a turn mill or Swiss part as well. So now that we see where we're going to end up when we're all done, let's go ahead and walk through the process of how we got. So notice in this case, I'm starting with a turn part where I've already got turn geometry and some tool paths for the outside diameter of the part. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the solid model window. This will be helpful to me in envisioning the engraving that I create on the cylinder. So the first step is we're going to return to the setup dialog. We're going to create a new window for the engraving. In this case, because I'm doing cylindrical interpolation, I'm going to choose Mill Cylinder. I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to call it OD Engrave. Having done this, I'm going to go into the CAD mode. In the CAD mode, I'm going to choose my note icon. I'm going to click generally on the part where I'd like my engraving to begin, and I'm simply going to go ahead and type engraving. I'll go to my note properties. I'm going to check the user-defined font button. I'm going to set my font. I'm going to call this Times New Roman. I'm going to go ahead and make a 36-point font. I'm going to click OK, and there I see my text appear on the screen. Having created the text that I wish to engrave, the next thing that's very important is to make sure that from the View menu under Dimensions and Notes, I've checked this box called Show Notes in CAM mode. This will allow the engraved text to appear in PartMaker's CAM mode, which is going to be important in just a moment. Having created this engraved text, I'm going to go into the CAM mode, and I see the text appear as a result of having ticked the previous button I showed you. I'm now going to go ahead and create a new profile group where I'm going to choose a contour mill, where I'm simply going to go 20,000 steep. I'm going to select a spot drill from the drop-down menu. I'll go ahead and indicate that I wish to use all diameters. I'm going to select that tool, and I'll give it a name. We'll call this feature Engrave, and we'll click on Close. Having done this, having now created the feature and having created the engraved text, I'm going to select the text, making sure it's highlighted, and simply go to the Edit menu and select Convert Notes to Profiles. This will automatically assign the toolpath to the engraved text. At this stage, all I have to do is position the engraved text correctly on my cylinder in terms of where I'd like to see it located. I'll do so by first of all selecting the text. Having selected the engraving, I'm now going to simply choose Edit and Rotate to rotate the text into the correct position where I'd like it to appear. Having done so, at this stage I see the engraved text on the 3D representation of the part. I can go ahead and verify the toolpath on this 3D representation, making sure I have generally what I wish. And at this stage, it's just a case of generating my process table and simulating the machining of the part. So here we see the part, first of all, of course, being turned, and now we see the engraved text being created as we've programmed it. So you can see by following these few easy steps how you can use PartMaker's custom font tool to do engraving very quickly and easily on the OD of the part. As we mentioned at the outset, the same or similar techniques can be used to do work on the face of a part or on a planar part for standard milling operations. Similar techniques can also be used to project engraved text on an arbitrary surface when doing 3D surface machining as well. We hope you enjoyed this video and you found it informative. You'll also notice that this procedure is also quite well documented in PartMaker's context-sensitive help. So you can always follow along with the text-based approach to doing this sort of operation.